plays the advertisement. This podcast is sponsored by Restream. Why live stream to one platform when you can simultaneously live stream to every platform to discover new audiences faster using Restream.io?
Your daily drop on gaming, live streaming, and social media today is sponsorship money. How much should you be getting? What content should you be sponsoring? There is a lot to cover here, so let's not waste any time. AWOL, tell the people in your Eastern European accent why this is an important episode.
I have to stop because we do have Russian viewers. I love all of you. My accent's terrible. But today, I want to talk about sponsorship money simply because I get contacted so often when I'm doing coaching calls. How much money should I be making off of the sponsorship? Your inbox, if you're a creator that gets any views, you're probably getting people contacting you from all over the world, lots of international email addresses. What's shady? What's legit? How much money should you be making? Let's cover all of that. And we'll also talk about how to secure more legit sponsorships and which type of sponsorships are good, healthy business relationships to have. So just generally speaking, right at the beginning of the podcast, I'm going to tell you that I'm on a Discord server with the biggest creators on YouTube. And we've had a lot of discussions there about what a good general baseline CPM is for a YouTube video, a YouTube sponsorship. And generally speaking, we agree that $20, if you're an English speaking channel, $20 CPM is a good baseline to think about for YouTube videos in particular. So what does that mean? So if a sponsor approaches you, for every 1,000 views that your video gets, you should think about asking them for as much money as $20 per 1,000. So if you make 10,000 views, how much money is that, Ross?
I'm sorry, I'm typing. Can you repeat the question?
$200 is the correct answer.
Okay, that was going to be my next guess.
If you got 100,000 views on the video, then it would be worth $2,000. And so you can extrapolate that up. Now, obviously, as the scale goes up on the number of views that you're getting on your videos, they may not be able to pay $20 CPM. Let's say you get 1 million views on the video. Would they actually pay you $20,000 for that? Maybe. But $20 CPM is a good baseline for YouTubers and YouTube video sponsorships. Also, $20 CPM is a good baseline for streamers. So for example, Perrin, on average on your Facebook gaming live streams, roughly how many views do you get on each one of those streams at the end of the day once the VOD comes out?
I'd say on average about 15,000 or so.
Okay, 15,000. So if you got 15,000 views per stream on average, then it was $20 CPM on that. That would be what, $300 per video, I believe. If we do the math correctly, do that in the calculator for me.
You did do the math correctly, sir.
Yay, $300 per live stream would be a reasonable amount for Andrew Perrin to ask for a dedicated sponsor that gets a pre-roll or gets an early roll at the beginning of your streams, Perrin, where let's say Elgato Gaming wanted to sponsor your videos or some mobile gaming company wanted to sponsor your videos. They would probably ask you to play a pre-roll advertisement or to do an ad read toward the beginning of your streams. And that would be about $300 per stream. Did you all know that you're worth that much money? You are. And a lot of sponsors are going to ask you to do it for free. They're going to ask you to do it for like $50 or whatever it may be. And they're probably way undershooting the value of your content because they know they can rip you off. And they know how much money you're worth because they work with agencies, they work with agents, and they work with a whole breadth of creators. And the bigger the creator, generally speaking, the more the creator knows how much they're worth. And the smaller the creator, the less they know how much they're worth and the more they're willing to sacrifice on value because they're just excited to make any money at all off of a sponsorship. So your baseline amount is $20 CPM. Any questions about that? Because we have a lot more to talk about.
I have questions. Dive into more details on that, but you might hit those. I want to know, like, how long should you accept for a pre-roll? Like, when should you say no? I don't know if we're going to go into that or not. And then obviously, I think we're going to cover today how you actually go about acquiring a sponsorship at that level. I think it's one thing to say that's what you're worth, but it's another thing to communicate with the sponsor that value and that worth.
That totally makes sense. So let's talk about when you should say no, and then we can talk about the communications with the sponsor when you guys are trying to get your sponsors. So you should say no to a sponsorship opportunity if one, you don't like the product. Like that's something that happens all the time. Like people come to me and they're like, look, you know, this, especially mobile gaming companies or app companies will offer them a lot of money to sponsor their products. And they don't actually like the game. They don't actually like the app, but they're like, the money's good. They're offering me $10,000 to do one video. And then I'm like, cool. Do you actually like the game? They're like, I don't know. It looks like it's a platformer, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, so why are you asking me whether you should do it or not? And the reason why they're asking whether they should do it or not is because they don't like it. And so if you find yourself asking, should I do this or not? Something in your head is telling you you don't like the product probably. Because if you like the product a lot, you're probably not going to ask yourself, should I do this? You're going to ask yourself, okay, what do I need to do to make it happen? Okay? And so if your initial question you ask is, should I do this? That's a huge red flag. That may not be a good sponsorship opportunity for you. Now, in terms of whether you should take a pre-roll advertisement or not on your content, let's dive a little bit more into that. So as you guys know, getting the attention of your viewers right at the beginning of your stream, right, in your YouTube video and your social media post is critically important to being able to succeed. And so if you're playing a giant 2-minute pre-roll ad at the beginning of your video before anybody gets any value, Ross, are you going to tune in? Are you going to stick around for that one?
Nope. If that ad is going over 15 seconds, I'm out of there.
Parent.
That's just my personal thoughts.
That makes sense. And you know, Twitch runs ads in front of your face too, like 30-second ones. How does that make you feel, Perrin?
Yeah, I'm out. I get pissed that they sponsored and they're dedicating that much to the sponsor at the beginning, and I don't care what the video is. I'll find that topic and that content elsewhere.
That makes sense. And so the sponsorship that we have on this podcast, as you guys can see, we only have like a 7-second or so pre-roll ad. And we negotiated that with a Restream.io. And so a lot of companies are going to ask you for the world for the sponsorship. They're going to say, play a 30-second, 45-second, 1 minute, 2-minute long pre-roll ad, or read this giant script before every video if you want the money. And you can get back to the sponsor and say, look, I want to support your brand. I want to support your product. I want to get the word out there. But the bottom line is, if I have to read an ad that long, the video isn't going to do well. The social media post isn't going to do well, and it's not going to get that much reach because tons of people are going to click on it and then they're going to bounce because they're just watching some long ad read. And so you can use the performance of the content as leverage to negotiate with a sponsor. If they're saying, I want a 45-second pre-roll, you can say, look, I can tell you if I play a 45-second pre-roll, the video is probably going to get half the views. So can we negotiate that down to like a 20-second pre-roll? Because I want this video to get a lot of views for you. And then, I mean, what does a sponsor want? Double the views or not double the views, Ross?
They want double the views, AWOL.
They do want double the views. It's just math. So that kind of brought us into that next topic you were asking for, Perrin, which is how to negotiate with a sponsor. And so the three of us, I have a lot of discussions with you guys. Like we currently have a main sponsor on this podcast, just as an example, Restream, and they are paying us cash each month to run their pre-roll ad and to talk about and to do like the affiliate link we do and to use the product, which we're using Restream right now. So you want to get a cash component into your sponsorship if possible. If you're not getting a cash component in your sponsorship or some kind of other major financial benefit, like they're giving you tons of free equipment or they're giving you like free subscription plus digital cash, if you will, related to their product, something that you want, it's not actually a sponsorship. And so you see a lot of people out there on social media saying, I'm sponsored by Elgato Gaming, or I'm sponsored by Razer. I see Ross laughing. I'm sponsored by Razer. I'm sponsored by whoever. And then you look at it and they're not actually sponsored. They just have an affiliate link to promote those products for those companies for no cash. That's not a sponsorship at all. And so we're talking about cash sponsorships, not necessarily just affiliate deals or freebies. And a lot of these companies are going to say, hey, I'll send you a free version of the product. Give me your address. All I want you to do is a review video on it, and you get to keep it. That's not a sponsorship either. That's a review unit deal. That's not actually sponsorship. And so don't get it twisted. And your viewers, your viewership is worth cash, and these companies know it. And so the people that run these social media accounts and that run these sponsorship units for these companies, they have a certain amount of money each month they can spend. And it is their job, and they get bonuses if they can secure more creators for less money. That's how they succeed in their career. So let me just translate that into plain English. They succeed if they take advantage of you. So just keep that in mind. That's the motivation of most people that are trying to work with influencers. The more people they can take advantage of, the more they accelerate in their career. So they don't have your best interest in mind. They're not trying to help you out. They're just trying to get their own bonus and their own raise and their own promotion in the company so they can become the director of influencer marketing rather than an influencer marketing coordinator. So if you think that's their mindset, you need to look out for yourself and your own money first, because sponsors are not going to look out for you. Does that make sense, guys?
Makes perfect sense. It's and that is the most that you are for creators that are just starting out. You're going to experience that way more than you are an actual like legitimate sponsor coming to you. In fact, it doesn't matter what size you are. When you start accumulating just views or engagements, you're going to have people come out of the woodworks and, you know, just like AWOL said, and say, hey, I got your best interest in heart. We're not going to give you any money, but if you want to do this trade thing, you can do the affiliate link. You can act like you're sponsored by us. Essentially, all you're doing is just acting like they're sponsoring you. They're not actually sponsoring you. And it's really unfortunate that those people are out there, and they are very, very good at getting stuff out of you.
Let's go into the psychology of that real quick, and then we can move on to other types of sponsorships. Perrin, have you ever been impressed or wanted to watch anyone more because they said they were sponsored? Like, did that ever impress you ever, or make you want to watch them more or follow them more because they had a sponsor in their banner or because they said they were sponsored?
No, I think because we're so conditioned to marketing, it doesn't even really like register for me in any way, unless they do something that's like very tasteful and you can tell that they genuinely really, really like the product. And it's one of those things where it's almost like the sponsor and that creator, like it's like a friendship more than a sponsorship. That could make me watch more. I don't have any examples off the top of my head, unfortunately, but any creator who has such a like genuine, heartfelt endorsement, because you can just tell by watching that they love that product, and that's how that sponsorship kind of came to be. That's a little bit more interesting. I might be interested in watching that purely from like a marketing brain standpoint, just to see what's going on there. But does it make me tune in and like choose to watch someone else over another creator? Not really, not for me.
Exactly. So I think a lot of creators think that by being sponsored, it somehow makes them more quote unquote legit. It makes them somehow bigger. It makes them more successful by saying they're sponsored. There's some truth to that, and there's not. So like Perrin said, maybe he'll care, maybe he won't as a viewer. Your viewers probably don't care whether you're sponsored or not, because like Perrin said, they're conditioned to marketing. They see advertisements everywhere. So if you're worried if your viewers are going to hate you because you did a sponsor, no, they aren't. If you think they're going to love you more because you're sponsored, no, they're not. They don't care. So don't worry about your viewers at all. It's not a factor at all when it comes to sponsorships. Where it is a factor is in getting more sponsors. So if you are already sponsored, then you are more likely to get more sponsors. And so that can kind of play into the psychology there of people that are looking for channels to sponsor. So for example, our first sponsorship here on the Digital Job Podcast was with Rode microphones, the mics that we're all using. They don't currently sponsor us, but we still love them. And we did a whole episode on how we got that sponsor. But the point is, because we had a very legit sponsor, Rode, And we had a case study of all the views, all the engagement, all the exposure that we got for Rode, and a testimonial from Rode on how professional we were as a podcast that got sponsored by them. We could then use that case study to go secure more sponsors. And so I use that to secure the sponsor we currently have, Restream.io. Now that we have Rode under our belt, now that we have Restream.io under our belt, I'm now negotiating sponsorships with even larger companies that are going to pay us even more money. Now I can show multiple case studies of very legitimate companies in the industry to then go secure more. So getting that initial sponsorship is going to help you do a case study for future ones. So whenever you secure the sponsorship, you need to over deliver for your initial sponsors as much as you can. Do more content than they asked. Do more shout outs than they asked. Engage with your content, with the contact that you have there more. Be more professional. Give them easy numbers that make them look amazing to their boss. Do everything you can to make your initial sponsors happy so that you have good case studies to go get more sponsors in the future. What you don't want to do is be desperate for sponsorships and then end up taking on ones that make you uncomfortable because you need the money. You always want to be in the position where you're turning down sponsorship opportunities, not desperate to go get more. You know what I mean?
Point out real quick that we're talking about cash sponsorships, which are big, but we didn't start with a cash sponsorship. So to get our first big sponsorship under our belts, we had a Rode. A Rode was not a cash sponsorship. It was just an equipment one, but we did so well with that one that we used that as a jumping off point to then begin doing cash sponsorships. So don't be worried if the first sponsorship you go after isn't cash. As long as you can get like a big reputable brand on board or something that you really, really like, that you can take it and sell it to other sponsors in the future, go with that, even if it's not cash right away, as long as you're getting a good amount in return that you feel that is worth your value.
That's right. And you can do the calculation on how much you should provide the non-cash sponsorships based on the $20 CPM rule that we gave you earlier. So for example, these microphones and, cables and mounts, and I'll cut over my control room shot. In the Rodecaster Pro mixers they gave us, they were about $1,000 per package for these. And so when I was calculating how much sponsorship juice we should give them, how many views we should give them essentially, I was calculating it based on the cash value of the equipment that they gave us. And that's actually what I told the sponsor. I told the sponsor, hey, you're going to be giving us equipment that's worth about $2,500 or whatever it was. And so based on and because it's a video podcast, I quoted them a $25 CPM. Based on a $25 CPM, we'll deliver this number of views for you, roughly. And that's it. And so they said, hey, the math adds up. Sounds good to me. You're already speaking their language. Because when they're making these sorts of calculations, they're thinking, how many views can I get? And what CPM am I getting from this deal? So now we're teaching you the language of sponsors. They're thinking CPM, they're thinking views, and they're thinking, how does that line up? All that has to go into a spreadsheet that these sponsors are putting together. And when they report it to their boss is going to say, hold on a second. How come you paid these guys a $100 CPM and you only paid these guys a $10 CPM? I want you to go get more of the $10 guys. And it's going to make them look bad if they're securing deals that are above that $20 to $30 threshold. So let's talk about how to get the most money per view. And the way to do that, video podcasts, just like this, regular podcasts. This is why we're doing it, boys, for the money. Ross, you're in it for the cash, right?
What's that?
You're in it
Say
for the
again?
cash. You're in it for the cash.
Well, that's all I'm doing it for. I don't like you guys.
I don't like you either. Perrin, I hate you.
Man, the feeling is mutual.
Perfect. So video podcasts are the most lucrative sponsorship opportunities for you as a creator. And the reason is people chug this content for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours in the case of the Joe Rogan podcast, right? And so sponsors are willing to pay $25 to $30 CPM for video podcasts or audio podcasts. And so the reason why a podcast is so interesting and why you should consider it is that you can put multiple advertisers into one episode. So with a video, generally you only have enough time to do one sponsor in that video, right? Maybe it's an 8-minute video, 10-minute video. And if you crammed in multiple sponsors, it would be freaking ridiculous. Like it would just be, you turn the viewers off, right? But with a live stream or a video podcast, you've got a 30-minute episode. In a 30-minute episode, we could easily put 2 sponsors in there, no problem. If we were doing 1-hour episodes, we could easily do 3. And if we were doing 3-hour episodes, we could probably do 4. And so each one of those sponsors can pay you the rate. So let's say each one of the sponsors of your podcast is giving you a $30 CPM. If you have one sponsor, you're getting $30 per 1,000 views. If you have 2 sponsors, you're getting $60 per 1,000 views. If you have 3 sponsors, you're getting $90 per 1,000 views. And if you have 4 sponsors, you're getting $120 per 1,000 views. You guys see how the math adds up on that real fast? So even if you went lower than that and you only did $20 CPM on all of those, that's still $80 per 1,000 views if you have 4 sponsors. The math is really easy to do, right? And so let's say you went as low as you can go on a video podcast. 4 sponsors, $80 per 1,000 views. If you only got 10,000 views per episode, how much money is that? Anybody have any guesses? Ross is doing
I know how much it is.
Ross is doing math.
$800. Final answer.
$800 for only 10,000 views. And so you might be thinking, I'm a small podcast, only getting 10,000 views per episode. I can't make that much money. Yeah, what if you made $800 per episode in sponsorship money because you've secured 4 sponsors per episode? Do you see how the math really adds up? So if you're making $800 per episode, you do 3 episodes per week, you're now making $2,400 per week just doing one show. You get how that's adding up real fast? Sponsorships can really add up if you know your value and if you know your worth. And so that's the really important thing here. So let's review. Video sponsorships, $20 CPM is the baseline. Video podcasts, $25 to $30 CPM is the baseline. And then if you need to negotiate lower than that, you can. But with your initial offer that you bring into the sponsor, try to shoot for those industry standards. Shoot for $20 out the gate. Negotiate down to $15 if you have to. That's fine. With the video podcast, shoot for $30. If you have to negotiate down to $25, then go ahead. But shoot for the moon and then let them negotiate you down. Don't negotiate yourself down, because if you negotiate yourself down, they'll negotiate you even lower than that. And then you're going to be in an uncomfortable position because they don't have your best interests in mind. What questions do you guys have?
There was one question in chat. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Don't sponsors focus on engagement more than views, though? It's a good question.
No, they don't. They care about 2 things. They care about CPM, so the number of views they're getting per, the number of views they're getting and how much money they're paying per 1,000 views, the CPM. So they care about that. And then number 2, they care about the conversions they're getting on their product a lot of the time. And so what I mean by conversions are what I'm going to do right now. Are you ready?
Do it.
And this podcast is sponsored by Restream.io. Thank you so much to Restream for sponsoring us. As you can see, we're live streaming on Twitch, on Facebook, on Trovo, on DLive, and on Periscope. And if you want to go ahead and purchase Restream.io to expand your audience for live streaming, then go ahead and use the link in our description and our bio. It'll give you $10 off your first month of Restream.io. And if you use our code DROP25, DROP25 with no space, that's DROP25 with no space, you can get an additional 25% off Restream.io. We're sponsored by them, we use them, and we recommend it. So, you see what I just did just there? That was the tracking and affiliate portion of sponsorships. So Restream will give you an affiliate link or a tracking link that if you drive people to it, it'll track every single install, every single conversion, every single sale of the product that happens. And so whenever those sales happen, It'll be logged in a dashboard somewhere, and they'll see how much results you're actually generating for their business. They can also give you a discount code, which is very common, and they can track the number of people that have typed in the discount code. And so when you're looking to renegotiate with them and to get further sponsorship deals, they can see the actual impact on their business, direct impact of people watching your content and then becoming customers. Those are the only two things they care about. They care about the CPM and then the conversions, installs, downloads, and sales. It's only those two things. So if you're talking with them about, my community is so engaged and I get this many likes per video versus blah, 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 and I get this much chat, bleach nibbity beerbity bop. The sponsor's like, drools coming out the side of their mouth, like, I don't know, man. How many views am I going to get? They don't care. So don't talk about how engaged your community is. Like, they couldn't give two shits about your community. They just care whether your community is going to click the damn link and is going to buy their product. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you were saying, and you were very accurate.
But wait, there's more. So let's talk about what good sponsorships are versus bad sponsorships and what the optimal sponsor is. So Perrin, when you're going through your day, tell me how you want to spend your time. All right. So here's choice number one. Choice number one is you spend your time emailing with 5 different companies, negotiating 5 different single video deals, and you have about 30 emails a day negotiating sponsors, right? That's scenario one. Scenario two is you secure 2 sponsors and they just sponsor you for 3 months in a row and you email them once a week. What do you like? Scenario one, 30 emails a day, or scenario two, 2 emails or 4 emails a month? Which one sounds good to you?
I hate email. So clearly number 2 sounds better. I've never even seen scenario 1. If there's actually creators that are doing scenario 1, I feel really bad for them. Oh my God, that sounds terrible. Because we've always done, multi-month contracted deals, and they're so nice because you just spend a little bit of time, like once per quarter, working on the deal, and then otherwise you're good. Like, it's good to engage with the sponsor a little bit with your contact there and talk to them, but otherwise there's not a lot of email. There's not a lot of back and forth. You're just good to work on the contract, and that's it. It's very simple. So yeah, number 2 is much better.
That's it. That's the last power tip for the episode. Try to secure monthly sponsorship deals. These companies are going to say, make 1 video for us or 3 videos for us. Let's go. And what they're really saying is, email with me and coordinate with me for hours and hours and hours, and then hours afterwards, and then contract negotiation, so that eventually you can make 3 videos and make this money. So it's just an insane amount of work for you to get sponsorship on 3 videos, as opposed to negotiating 1 deal where they're just paying you every month to do something every single month. It's so much better for you, and it's so much better for your time if you can secure monthly deals. And I'm only accepting monthly deals right now on Digital Drop for main sponsors. And if you do end up accepting a video-based deal, propose a series of videos. So don't just say, I'm going to do 1 video. I'm going to do a series of 10 videos. And let's negotiate a 10 video deal, because I don't want to waste my time going one video at a time, because you're going to waste your time. It's going to take so much time and effort to negotiate each deal. Where the hell is your time and energy going to be to actually make content? That's why you're doing all of this, right? Ross, any closing thoughts there, buddy?
Rain Dan Siggy, he literally just typed in, work smart, not hard. Thanks for the thanks for this. And he's right. Work smart, not hard. And video podcast is the way to work smart and also not too hard, because it doesn't require that much editing on the back end.
That transition you saw right there, I just hit a freaking button. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hit a button right now. Bye-bye.